The world is a big place, and we, as teachers, have the responsibility to prepare kids so that they can not only cope with, but also thrive in the outside world. Kids come from all different backgrounds, some from wealthy families, some from single-parent families, some from Indigenous communities, and from all different religious backgrounds. But every single one of them has the right to equal, quality education. Teenagers these days have so much to deal with. There's technology demanding their attention at every corner, hormones raging through their body, making them feel things they haven't felt before, and grow hair in weird places. They're struggling to find their place in the world. Where do they fit in? What is their purpose? Who are they? A holistic teaching approach encompasses all these concerns. But what exactly does holistic mean? The International Journal of Educational Research defines holistic pedagogy as concerning the development of the whole student and acknowledges the cognitive, social, moral, emotional, and spiritual dimensions of education. Vygotsky believed that humans are inherently social beings, and his social and situational approach to teaching is widely recognised and used today. He believed that learning is the relationship between people and their environments, and that learning occurs through social interactions. This means that conversation and discussion are essential in the classroom. Humanist theorists such as Maslow and Rogers believe that it is the educator's role to facilitate the development of the whole person. This includes approaches such as showing confidence in your students by offering choices, modelling respectful, dignified behaviour, and communicating quality, standards and expectations in a positive manner. I believe that for students to undergo effective learning and therefore become happy, confident adults, there needs to be lots of discussion and communication. You, as the teacher, are a role model to young people, whether they realise it or not, and so it's important to lead by example. To facilitate holistic well-being in the classroom and ensure students reach their full capabilities and potentials, there are 5 overreaching principles essential to teaching. The first is well-being. This means emotionally and physically. As I mentioned before, teenagers are constantly questioning themselves and their identity. Touching base regularly, one-on-one with your students, allows you to see if they're having any issues. How are things going for them at home? Are they eating regular meals? How's their mental health? Are they happy? Supporting teenagers through this tumultuous time is important because if they are not happy and healthy in body and mind, it is hard for them to learn effectively. The second is respect for others, themselves, and their surroundings. Encouraging positive social interactions and emphasising that everyone has the right to learn can help to remind students that their behaviour affects others, both negatively and positively, in the short term and the long term. We must also teach them to respect themselves and their personal rights if they are to develop a positive sense of identity and become confident, contributing members to society. We must also have respect for the land and Indigenous peoples and traditions that came before us. We must take care of the earth. It is everyone's responsibility to treat the earth we live on with respect and love. After all, we only have one of them. The third is high expectations. Having high expectations of your students is essential if they are to reach their full potential and then exceed it. Positive feedback, encouragement, and a genuine belief in your students can go far towards your students succeeding in whatever it is they are aiming for. Number 4 is teacher passion and expertise. If a teacher doesn't care or know anything about what they're teaching, kids aren't going to respond. Why should they take an interest if you aren't? This means doing the research on your topics before you teach them and having answers ready for possible questions. You must always be willing to learn more and share your love of your topic, and it will rub off on your students. The last of my overreaching principles is social responsibility. A whole world exists outside the classroom, and it's important to ready your students so that they can be an active, contributing member of society, or a global citizen. Young people need to keep up to date with what's going on in the world, and we need to allow time in our lessons to talk about what happened in the news the night before. We need to help integrate them into the community and build a sense of care and kindness towards each other. Every human on this earth can make an impact, and we need to make sure that teenagers are ready for the big switch between their end of schooling and the rest of their life. The Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership has some set standards that teachers need to know and be able to do in the classroom. Number 1 is know students and how they learn. This includes physical, social and intellectual development characteristics, differentiating your teaching to meet the specific learning needs of students across the full range of abilities, and strategies to support full participation of students with disabilities. Number 2, know the content and how to teach it. This means knowing what content to select, curriculum, assessment and reporting, as well as ICT. Number 3, plan for and implement effective teaching and learning. This means establishing challenging learning goals and having those high expectations I talked about before. It means structuring lesson plans and using effective teaching strategies in the classroom. Number 4, create and maintain supportive and safe learning environments. This means supporting student participation, managing challenging behaviour, and maintaining student safety so that all students feel comfortable to learn. Number 5 is assess, provide feedback and report on student learning. This means providing feedback to parents and students via reports and direct communication. It means making consistent and comparable judgment and interpreting your students' data. Number 6, engage in professional learning. This means identifying and planning professional learning needs and engaging with colleagues to improve practice. And finally, number 7, engage professionally with colleagues, parents and carers, and the community. This means complying with legislative, administrative, and organisational requirements, as well as engaging with professional teaching networks and communities to further expand your own learning. If we remember that every student is a unique individual who has their own set of interests and have confidence in them enough to give them choices in their learning, we can equip young people with the skills and knowledge they need to become happy, creative, and innovative adults who can contribute meaningfully to society. We need to put the effort in to make sure learning is accessible and interesting enough so that students don't just switch off in the class. We need to give them the option to reach their dreams no matter what they are. We need to make sure that young people have the skills and knowledge they need to cope with the big bad world. After all, they are our future.